Namaskar. Welcome to the video series on the refresher training manual in execution matters for the district staff of Punjab, Haryana and UT Chandigarh. Let's know something about service of process, which is given under chapter 3 of the manual. Introduction. The processes issued by the civil courts are covered in volume 4, chapter 7, part A, and service of process is discussed in part B of the rules and orders. Though the term summons has not been defined in the CPC, according to the dictionary meaning, a summons is a document issued from the office of a court of justice calling upon the person to whom it is directed to attend before a judge or officer of the court for a certain purpose. According to Order 48, Rule 2 CPC, all orders, notices, and other documents required by the CPC to be given or served on any person shall be served in the manner provided for the service of summons. Rule 5 of the Rules and Orders. Modes of service. Order 5, Rule 9 CPC deals with delivery of summons by court. Order 5, Rule 10 CPC deals with mode of service, and it states that service of summons shall be made by delivering a copy which is duly signed by the judge or a person authorized by him and bears the seal of the court. Service may be effected through following modes. Direct service, Order 5, Rule 12 CPC. Service of summons is made by delivering or tendering a copy of summons upon the defendant, his agent. The party causing the service to be effected must give proof to this effect. Adult family member, Order 5, Rule 15 CPC, to be served in this manner only in the absence of the agent, and such a family member should be actually residing with the defendant. Part B, Proof of Service, Rule 3, Sub-Rule 4 of the Rules and Orders. Note, servant is not a member of the family. Service within jurisdiction. Order 5, Rule 9 CPC provides that where the defendant, judgment debtor, is residing within the jurisdiction of the court or has an agent empowered to accept service of summons, the summons should be served upon him or upon his agent through court officer or approved courier service. As per Order 5, Rule 9, Sub-Rule 3 CPC, a summons can also be served through registered post, acknowledgement due, RPAD, speed post, fax, email, or by any other means of transmission of documents provided by the rules made by the High Court at the expense of the plaintiff decree holder. Where there are more defendants than one, service of the summons shall be made on each defendant individually. Order 5, Rule 11 CPC. Service outside jurisdiction. According to Order 5, Rule 9, Sub-Rule 4 CPC, where the defendant is residing outside the jurisdiction of the court, a summons should be served upon him by such mode of service referred to in Order 5, Rule 9, Sub-Rule 3 CPC, that is by speed post, courier service, fax, email, or by any other means of transmission at the expense of the plaintiff or decree holder in accordance with Order 5, Rule 21 CPC, that is by sending a copy to the court having jurisdiction in the place where the defendant resides. The said rule shall not apply when summons are issued through RPAD. According to Order 5, Rule 13 CPC, in a suit relating to any business or work where a person does not reside within the local limits of the jurisdiction of the court, service can be effected upon manager or agent who at the time of service personally carries on such a business or work for such person within such limits. Service by affixation, Order 5, Rule 17 CPC. Where the defendant or his agent refuses to sign the acknowledgement, or where the serving officer after due and reasonable diligence cannot find the defendant who is absent from his residence at the time of service of summons, and there is no likelihood of him being found at his residence within a reasonable time, and there is no authorized agent nor any other person on whom service can be made, the service of summons can be made by fixing a copy on the outer door or some other conspicuous part of the house in which the defendant ordinarily resides or carries on business or personally works for gain. The serving officer shall then return the original to the court from which it was passed, with a report endorsed thereon that the copy of summons was duly affixed, the circumstances under which affixation was done, and the name and address of the person, if any, by whom the house was identified and in whose presence the copy was affixed. Note: no formal order of the court is required for affixing a copy of summons on the house of the defendant. In case titled Kuntala versus Sadhu Charan, AIR 1966, Odisha 166, one of the points for consideration was whether there was service of notice under Order 21, Rule 22 CPC. The said notice was served by a fixture when the judgment debtor was absent from her home. It was held that a person could not be said to be not found within the meaning of Order 5, Rule 17 CPC merely by reason of his being temporarily absent from his usual place of residence. The serving officer must use all due and reasonable diligence to find out the defendant. Substituted service, Order 5, Rule 20 CPC. It means service of summons by a mode which is substituted for the ordinary mode of service of summons on notice when the court is satisfied that the defendant is avoiding the service. Substituted service under Order 5, Rule 20 CPC can be effected by affixing a copy of summons in a conspicuous place in the court premises and also upon conspicuous part of the house in which the defendant last resided, carried on business, or personally worked for gain, or by an advertisement in an approved daily newspaper, preferably in a vernacular paper, circulating in the locality in which defendant is last known to have actually and voluntarily resided, carried on business, or personally worked for gain. Order 5, Rule 21A and Part B, small a, mode of service, Rule 4, 5, and 7 of Rules and Orders. In case titled Yalava versus Shantava, 1997, Volume 11, Supreme Court Cases 59, the ex parte decree of divorce was challenged by wife. The Honorable High Court of Karnataka had allowed the revision application, setting aside the ex parte decree of divorce on the ground that being illiterate, the wife would not have read the notice published in the newspaper about the pendency of the divorce proceedings taken out by her husband against her. It was held by the Honorable Apex Court that substituted service has to be resorted as a last resort when the defendant cannot be served in the ordinary way and the court is satisfied that there is a reason to believe that the defendant is keeping out of the way for the purpose of avoiding service, or that for any other reason the summons cannot be served in ordinary way. Note: thus, this is not a regular mode of service and hence it should not normally be allowed. Service out of India. Order 5, Rule 25 CPC. Order 5, Rule 25 CPC provides that where the defendant resides out of India and has no agent to accept the service on his behalf, the summons shall be addressed to the defendant at the place where he is residing through post if there is postal communication, or courier service as may be approved by the High Court, by fax, email, or by any other means as may be provided by the rules made by the High Court. If the defendant is residing in Pakistan or Bangladesh, the summons together with a copy may be sent to any court except High Court in that country for service upon the defendant. In case the defendant is a public officer or servant of railway company or local authority in that country, the summons together with a copy may be sent for service to such officer or authority in that country as specified by the central government in the official gazette. Service on form, Order 30, Rule 3 CPC. The summons or notice should be served upon any one or more of the partners of the firm concerned or at the principal place at which the partnership business is carried on within India. The concerned person should have the control or management of the partnership business at the time of service. In case the partnership has been dissolved, the summons shall be served on every person within India who has been made liable. In case titled P. Sen Engineering Private Limited versus Delight Builders Private Limited, AIR 1993, Calcutta 28, service of summons on the agent of the partner of the firm was held as sufficient service on the partner of the firm. Service on employees in the Army, Navy and Air Force, Order 5, Rule 28 CPC. Such process should invariably be transmitted for service to the proper military authority, that is commanding officer, and the summons should be accompanied by a copy to be retained by the defendant. Service on defendant in prison, Order 5, Rule 24 CPC. The summons shall be sent to the officer in charge of the prison for service on the defendant by post, by courier service as approved by the High Court, by fax message, by electronic mail service, or such other means as may be provided by the rules made by the High Court. General. The rules clearly stipulate that every attempt should be made to effect personal service in the first instance, and failing that service on an agent or a member of the family. The process server should go and again for the said purpose and obtain for such successive attempt at service attestation of witnesses different from those who had attested the reports of previous attempts. As per Order 5, Rule 9, Sub-Rule 5, CPC, refusal of acceptance of summons shall be treated as valid service. The panel of courier agencies for service of summons shall be made by the High Court or the district judge as the case may be. Order 5, Rule 9, Sub-Rule 6 CPC. Every process issued by the court shall be signed by the judge or by such officer appointed by him and shall be sealed with the seal of the court and delivered to the proper officer for execution. A day shall be specified on or before which the process shall be executed, and a day shall also be specified on or before which it shall be returned to the court. The serving officer entrusted with the execution of the process shall make an endorsement regarding the day on which and manner in which the said process was executed. In case there is any delay in the execution of the process, then the said serving officer shall specify the reason for delay of the process beyond the day specified therein. In case of non-execution of the process, the reason shall be specified before returning the process to the court. Order 5, Rule 18 CPC. Postal charges on the processes, notices, and other such documents issued from any court and transmitted by post are to be paid by means of service postage stamps, without any additional charge being levied from the parties at whose instance the process is issued. Every summons shall be accompanied by a copy of the plaint. Affidavit of the process server, which should accompany the return of summons prescribed in Volume 4 of Chapter 7, Part K, Appendix 1 of Rules and Orders, is Form 11 in Volume 6, Part A1 of Rules and Orders, and its format is as under. Order 5, Rule 18, title of the case, Format 1. So how the affidavit should be given by the process server is given in Format 1. It says the affidavit dash son of dash, that is the name of the process server is to be given here with his complete particulars. I make oath or affirm and say as follows. I am a process server of this court. Para number 2, on the dash day, the day when he received the summon, I received a summon or notice issued by the court from the court where he had received the summons in suit number of dash, the particulars of the suit in which he was given the summons in the said court dated the dash day of dash for the service on the day on which the service is to be effected. The said dash was at the time personally known to me. The said defendant or the person to whom the summons is to be served upon. And I served the said summons or notice on him or her on the dash day of dash, the day on which the process server had served the summons to the defendant at about, the time is to be given by the process server, AM or PM, at the place where the summons was served upon the defendant by tendering a copy thereof to him or her and requiring his or her signature to the original summons or notice. Then thereafter there is point A and point B. What is point A is explained under note that here the process server is to state whether the person served, signed or refused to sign the process and in whose presence. And at point B, process server has to do his own signatures. Now, para number 3, as shown in format 1, can also be substituted as shown in format 2. That is, the person upon whom the summons are to be served, whether defendant or witness or judgment debtor or any other person, not being personally known to me, was being identified by dash. The name of the respectable person is to be given by the process server who had identified the witness or the defendant or the judgment debtor or the person who pointed out to me a person whom he stated to be the said, again the judgment debtor or the defendant or the witness or any other person upon whom the summons is to be served, and I served the said summons or notice on him or her on the dash day of 20 dash at about AM or PM at dash. Here the process server is to give the time and the place and the date on which this summons has been served upon him, how the summons has been served upon him by tendering a copy thereof to him or her and requiring his or her signature to the original summons. Now again, 2 points are given, point A and point B. At point A, the process server is to state whether the person served, signed or refused to sign the process and in whose presence. And at point B, the process server has to append his own signatures. Again, format number 3 is given for substituting para number 3, that the said here the process server will write the name of the defendant or the judgment debtor or the witness or any other person upon whom the summon is to be served and his house in which he ordinarily resides being personally known to me, that was given in format 1, or pointed out for me by that is in format 2 dash the name of the person, and I went to the said house and thereon dash day of dash, the date when the process server has visited the house and the time, I did not find dash present in the house. Here in the dash, the process server has to write the name of the person to whom the summons are to be served upon. I inquired from neighbors A and B. So here the process server has to give the name of the neighbors from whom he had undertaken the inquiry. I was told, that is the process server was told, that the said person upon whom the summon is to be served had gone to, again there is a dash where the process server will write as to where the defendant or the witness or the judgment debtor or any other person has gone and would not be back till the time when the person would be back. He has to write, the process server has to fill up this information, and thereafter the process server will do his signature. Again, there is a format 4 for para number 3, that if the substituted service has been ordered, state fully and exactly the manner in which the summon was served with special reference to the terms of the order for substituted service. Sworn or affirmed by the said person before me this, the date has to be filled. Empowered under section 139 of the Code of Civil Procedure to administer oath to deponents. So if अगर हम इसका हिंदी ट्रांसलेशन देखें जो हमने ऊपर अपने एफिडेविट्स दिए हैं, वो ये कहते हैं कि मैं डैश सुपुत्र डैश, मतलब इसमें प्रोसेस सर्वर ने अपना नाम लिखना है, शपथ लेकर घोषित करता हूं कि मैं इस कोर्ट का प्रोसेस सर्वर हूं, दिनांक डैश महीना डैश साल को डैश, इसमें प्रोसेस सर्वर ने पर्टिकुलर्स लिखने हैं कि उसे कब ये समन्स दिया है, तो लिखना है दिनांक डैश महीना डैश साल को डैश, न्यायालय द्वारा जारी किया हुआ समन्स, नोटिस केस नंबर, इसमें केस का नाम लिखना है कि किस केस में इन प्रोसेस सर्वर को समन दिया गया है, दिनांक, समन का डेट, आपूर्ति दैट इज सर्विस के लिए मुझे मिला। तो ये एक एफिडेविट है जो प्रोसेस सर्वर को देना है। ये समन्स मैंने व्यक्तिगत तौर से डैश को दिनांक डैश महीना डैश साल डैश समय डैश एक प्रति देकर सर्विस कराई और उसके हस्ताक्षर ओरिजिनल कॉपी पर करवाए। इसमें प्रोसेस सर्वर ने ये बताना है कि मैंने उस व्यक्ति को जिसके नाम पर समन्स है उसको मैंने ये समन्स दिए, उसकी मैंने पर्सनल सर्विस करवाई। अथवा ए और बी दो पॉइंट्स दिए हुए हैं जिसमें ए पॉइंट पे लिखा है अगर उस व्यक्ति ने समन पर हस्ताक्षर किए या हस्ताक्षर करने से मना कर दिया तो किसकी मौजूदगी में किया, और बी में प्रोसेस सर्वर के खुद के हस्ताक्षर। Form of summons. Forms of processes are available in Appendix B to Schedule 1 of the CPC. In the case of persons of distinction, a letter may be substituted for a summons if the court thinks fit. Order 5, Rule 30 CPC. Every summons order under Order 5, Rule 1 should be in form number 1 of Appendix B. Notice under Order 21, Rule 2 CPC should be in form number 1. And notice under Order 21, Rule 16 CPC in form number 7 of Appendix E, Volume 6, Part A of Rules and Orders. Format of registers. Format of registers are also given in Chapter 3. It says, according to Volume 6, Part A4 of Rules and Orders, the format of register of processes served by process server, register number 23 is as under. Number 23, register of process servers, name of the process server. Then in column number 1, there should be a month, number of processes entrusted for service. There's column number 2. Number of processes served according to law and returned within time, column number 3. Number of processes served personally, column number 4. Percentage of personal service, column number 5. And then there is remark. According to Volume 6, Part A4 of Rules and Orders, format of the register of diary of process server is as under. Register number 29. Register of diaries of process servers. If we see this register, it has 16 columns. Column number 1 is the serial. Column number 2 is the date of departure. Column number 3 is the number of processes to be served in each village or area. Column number 4, the name of the village or area in which it is to be served. Column number 5, the serial number of register number 6 in Chapter 8D, High Court Rule and Order, Volume 2, at which entered. Column number 6 is the date fixed for service of the processes in the village. Column number 7, date of return fixed by the Nazir. Column number 8, date on which the process server visited the village. Column number 9, traveled from which village to which village. Column number 10, distance traveled. Column number 11, number of processes served and time of service, that is morning or evening, etc. Column number 12, manner of service. Column number 13, the number of processes unserved. Column number 14, signature or thumb impressions of the lambardar or chowkidar or any other respectable person of village. Column number 15, signature of Nazir. Column number 16, remarks. Note, the process servers may effect personal service on a date other than the date mentioned in column number 6, but before the date fixed for the return of the process. They must, however, record the reasons for doing so in the remarks column. Processes received unserved should be entrusted for service again and again if the date of hearing fixed in the case admits of it. Volume 2, Chapter 8, Part E, Rule 3 of Rules and Orders mandates that in order to watch the return and execution of warrants, etc., entrusted to the execution bailiffs and to see on what dates the amounts were realized by them and paid into treasury, each execution bailiff is required to maintain a notebook in the following format. Notebook of, here in this dash, bailiff has to give his name, execution bailiff. Court of, for the month of, here the particulars are to be filled by the bailiff. Form number 1, as given wide Rule 3, it says notebook of dash execution bailiff, name of the bailiff, court of, for the month of dash, the particulars are to be given. So now if we see the notebook carefully, it has got 16 columns. Let's see what all those columns are. First column is monthly serial number. Second column is date of issue of warrant. Third column is serial number in the register of process received and disposed of by the local agent. Column number 4 is name of the court issuing the warrant. Column number 5 is name of parties. Column number 6 is name of judgment debtor. Column number 7 is date of next hearing in the case. Column number 8 is date of return of warrant fixed by the Nazir. Column number 9 is the date of nature of execution, that is attachment of property or arrest of the debtor. Column number 10 is date. Column number 11 is amount and or number of articles received. Column number 12 is date of credit of realization. Column number 13 is amount. Column number 14 is particulars whether exaction was carried out or not. Column number 15 is acknowledgement of Nazir with date and number of entry in register of receipts. And column number 16 is the remarks column. Now, as per volume 2, chapter 8, part D, section 3, rule 13 of rules and orders, when an application involving a deposit in the sheriff petty account is presented in the court for summoning of witnesses to whom diet money is to be paid, the court reader shall note thereon the number of the case in order to enable the process serving agent to make the necessary entry in the register of receipt. As per Rule 16 of the same chapter, all processes issued by the courts for service within the district should be sent to the local agent and should contain a reference to the amount deposited with the agent. As per Rule 17 of the same section and chapter of the Rules and Orders, process issued by a court for service in another district will be made over to the local agent by the issuing authority for entry in register in form number 6. Rule 20, section 4 of the same chapter and volume of rules and orders provides that the sum as mentioned in Rule 19 will be given to process servers together with the processes, but before this is done, the following procedure must be carried out. Each process should be entered in the register of process received and disposed of by the local agent. Payment to process server should be entered in the appropriate column of the register of receipts against each sum. Payment entries should be made in the register of disbursement and the process server's acknowledgement and receipt in column number 11. Details of each sum should be entered in the process server's notebook. No process server should have more than rupees 200 in hand at any one time. According to volume 2, chapter 8, part D of Rules and Orders, formats of form number 6 and 7 wide rules number 17 and 18 are as follows. So if we can see, this is the entire format pertaining to form number 6, wide rule numbers 17 and 20, which is register of processes of including warrants, etc. received from dash, tehsil or district dash with or without diet money of Munadi fee by process serving agent. So now carefully, if we see the columns that are given in this format, serial number 1 is the first column. Column number 2 is the date of receipt of process. Column number 3 is name of the court, tehsil and district from which it received. Column number 4 is case number. Column number 5 is name of parties. Column number 6 is description of process. Column number 7 is amount of process fee, talbana levy. Column number 8 is amount with detail of diet money or munadi fee received with the process. Column number 9 is reference to correspondence serial number 1 and date of register of receipts form number 1, sheriff petty account rules. Column number 10 is purpose for which received. Column number 11 is name of person on whom process is to be served. Column number 12 is date fixed by the issuing court for return of the process. Column number 13 is number and name of process server or bailiff by whom to be served or tehsil or district to which sent for service together with abstract of immediate order. Column number 14, date on which made over to process server for service or on which sent to other district in tehsil. Column number 15, reference to corresponding serial number and date of register of disbursements, that is form number 2, sheriff petty account rule. Column number 16, date of return from process server or other district or tehsil. Column number 17, whether served or unserved. Column number 18, amount of diet money received back in case of unserved processes with number of entry in the register of receipts form number 1 in which return money accounted for. Column number 19, date of return of undisbursed diet money. Column number 20 is the date of submission of process to the issuing court with abstract of final orders. And column number 21 is the remarks. Now, if we see the format of form number 7 as referred above in white rule number 20, the format is as follows. It has got 12 columns. Now column number 2 to 5 is to be filled up by the Nazir, that is the agent. Column number 6 to 9 is to be filled up by the process server, and column number 9, 8 to 12 is again to be filled up by the Nazir. So let us see what all these columns are. So column number 1 is the date. Column number 2 is reference to number of items in register of disbursement. Column number 3 is the name of person to whom money is to be disbursed. Column number 4 is the amount. Column number 5 is the initial of the process serving agent Nazir. Column number 6 is date of service. Column number 7 is amount paid. Column number 8 is acknowledgement. Column number 9 is amount disbursed. Column number 10 is signature of the witness in whose presence the amount was paid. Column number 11, signature of the process serving agent, that is Nazir, and column number 12 is the remarks. So this is all about this chapter. Along with the chapter, we have also given the flow charts to make our audience understand the entire procedure which is given in the chapter 3. So if we see the flow chart with regard to the issue of summons, if we try to understand, it clearly reflects as to how the summons are to be served, either by direct service or a fixation or substituted service, and how the direct service is to be done, how the affixation is to be done, when the affixation is to be done, and how the substituted service of the summons is to be done. We have also given the excerpt in chapter in Hindi. हमने चैप्टर नंबर 3 को हिंदी में भी दिया है ताकि हमारी ऑडियंस को बहुत अच्छे से ये चैप्टर समझ आए. तो ये जो एक्सट्रैक्ट है ये हम अपने अगले वीडियो में करेंगे. तब तक के लिए नमस्कार.